Okay, my experience has not been the greatest, and I want to tell you a little bit about my oh man. I just want to tell you a little bit about my experience and where I am now and what I'm planning. And that leads up to some really big news for me that I want to share with you. So, last year, my partner and I broke up. We were living on the property together. We purchased the property together, although financially I managed to come up with most of the money. And while we were living on the property, we built a business. We built an RV repair business. I did all of the administrative stuff, the paperwork, answering phones, billing, accounting, all of the website stuff, and then he did the majority of the actual physical work. So it was a pretty good symbiotic business partnership, but when we broke up, I ended up keeping the property and he ended up keeping the business. And that kind of left me with my pants down because I was not making an income anymore. And not only was I not making an income, I was now on the property alone. And we lived in his camper together. So when we broke up, he rolled his camper off the property, and that left me essentially without a shelter. And I actually ended up moving into my 9x12 shed. So at the time, I was basically broke and living in a very primitive environment, and I was on all of this acreage and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I decided I needed to venture out into the great big world, and I did leave my property. I left my property back in August of 2022 to develop some sort of career or income stream so I could eventually go back on the property. So what happened in that time frame is I gained an apprenticeship to be a network infrastructure technician. I've always been IT oriented, so I ran with that apprenticeship and I have developed a small career as a data center technician. I do structured cabling in an Amazon Web Services data center. And the reality is that yes, I do make pretty good money. I am very unhappy with my environment because when I left the property, I did get to travel for a period of time, but now I have landed in Phoenix, Arizona. And that is a really freaking big city. And I have learned, again, I have relearned that I am not a city slicker. I am a country woman, and I am so ready to go back to my property. So my big announcement is that I am quitting my job and going back to my property the beginning of June. June 4th is the exact date that I am landing back on my property. And I am so excited. And what I have learned is, I've learned so many things. The first thing is that I worked my ass off. I paid off debt. I paid off my truck, and I made a nest egg in 9 months so I could go back to my property. So now I'm going back with money. Another thing I learned is I really hate working for other people. I really hate working for big corporations that don't give a shit about you, and that is the epitome of Amazon Web Services. At Amazon, you're not even a number. You are nothing to these people. And it's not even people. You are nothing to the Moloch, which is the evil corporation that Amazon is. They have taken basically complete control of my life at work. There are no frills. I work in a prison-like environment. I work in an environment that is the antithesis to off-grid living in nature, which is everything I stand for. So even though I've built this high-tech career, I freaking hate it, at least in this environment. So I just want to tell you, I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit and tell you a little bit about what it's like working at a data center. So you go into the building, there is one window, and we're talking 120,000 square foot fortress of a building. It's gray. It looks like a freaking prison. I'm not even kidding. It's cement, gray, inconspicuous building. There's no labeling saying Amazon because they don't want people knowing what these buildings are. So you walk in, everything's under lockdown. I have biometric fingerprint to go into the building. I have biometric fingerprint to go into the data center. I go through 1, 2, 3, 4 fingerprint swipes before I can even get to where the machines are. The data center is in red zone. That means you are not allowed to have any devices on your person when you go into the red zone, which is the vault that holds all of the machines. So there is a trap room between the outside and the inside. In this trap room, there is a metal detector and a security guard. And this security guard searches me every single time I go into the vault. They search me for Bluetooth devices. They search me for my phone, for USB devices, because the biggest concern of a data center is security. Because there's lots of data flowing over these computers, that's all very sensitive. It could be government data, it could be credit card information, medical information, it could be AI stuff, which I'm going to get into that into a second because that all ties into the data center thing. So I go through this massive search, metal detector, I get a wand all over me, and then I'm not allowed to bring in any water or any food or drink into the vault. And there's no bathroom in the vault. So then I enter in there and it's just a prison of artificial light, artificial air, and stacks and stacks of computer racks that are just buzzing. So it's like this white noise and it's very austere. And it's just, it is like the antithesis to living because it's all machines. It's built for machines. Data centers are not built for humans. They're not built to be comfortable or enjoyable to any degree. So my job is just no frills. I work all day, get the job done, and when I leave, I feel like my soul has been sucked out of me because of all of the electromagnetic frequencies that these machines are emitting. I mean, it's got to be electromagnetic frequencies on steroids, and the frequencies entering my head, it's really strange. There's been some really strange effects that have happened in this data center. So long story short, I have decided to leave my very unnatural job and head back to the property. As far as my game plan for making money, there's lots of ways I can make money. I've been enlightened, I see it now, but I did need to leave the property to really gain perspective of everything I have and everything I'm grateful for and for my goals moving forward. So one of the big reasons why I'm doing this really big 180, going back to my property, embracing nature and self-sufficiency and freedom and all the things that I've stood for this whole time is because of artificial intelligence. So the data center that I am building is 100% devoted to AI. We are building the compute for the AI. And let me tell you, each rack that we are installing in there, and a rack is basically a very tall 8-foot rack full of servers, full of super high powered servers. Each of these racks costs $250,000, and we are installing 60 racks a week, and we have been installing racks for about 3 months now, and there are 3 more vaults to go just in this building, and they're building 3 more buildings. So this is a multi-billion-dollar AI operation. AWS has joined the arms race, and one of the big things that I'm concerned about is AI is going to replace a majority of the workforce. I don't know what that's going to look like. It is going to be a revolution. It is going to change the way we work. It's going to change the way we think. It's basically the equivalent of the Industrial Revolution, but this time it's all about technology. So my mind state is going towards, I don't really want to have a part of this paradigm AI shift in the world. And I actually made a podcast about this. It's the last one I recorded. It's called AI is Coming. It's time to go off grid. I think there's going to be some technocratic stuff going on. We're hearing about the 15-minute cities. We're hearing about the smart cities and how they can control our thermostats, and you'll own nothing and be happy. And you know what? I don't want to have any part to do with that. So the way that we countermeasure against this is we opt out, we go off grid, we build our systems, and we do not participate. So this whole enlightenment has happened to me, but for now, we still definitely need to make money. So let's roll into the big juicy topic of the day, how you're going to make money while living off the grid. So there's 4 different styles of how you can make money while living off the grid. The first way is to get a normal job. The second way is to start a business, most likely a service-based business. The third way is to start a homestead-based business. And the fourth way is to make an income online. So I'm going to break down each of these one by one and give you some ideas so you can get your brain rolling on how you can make money while you're homesteading. So the first way is to get a job. This is going to be some sort of local job. You are living in a remote environment, but there will always be a need, there will always be a demand, unless you're going way, way, way far out into the mountains of Montana. And even then, there's usually some sort of outfitting company or some sort of guest ranch that you could work at. So no matter what, you might have to commute, but you can find a job wherever you are at. And oftentimes in these remote locations, they need workers. They need people that are committed to their job. So this shouldn't really be hard for you. So here's some of the ideas that I have. You can work at a gas station or a truck stop. There's always one of those around. You can be a rural USPS carrier. I see ads for this all the time. It seems to pay pretty good, where you drive around and deliver mail to all of these big spread out houses in the country. You could work at the county dump. There's always a dump or landfill nearby, and that pays pretty good, and you get benefits, and you have a pretty stable 9-to-5 job that way. You can go into the law. Some of these things, you could become a sheriff. You could look into becoming a ranger. How about working for Fish and Game? I think that would be maybe cool. You could also, if you live in southern Arizona like I do, they are always hiring for Border Patrol agents, and they start out, I believe, at like $60,000 to $80,000 a year. It's a pretty good career. If you don't quite want to go that far by working with the law, you could look into working as a forestry agent. It doesn't pay as much to be a forestry worker, but you're always outdoors, and you could find work in a rural location. You could look at working at a campsite. A lot of places offer a free campsite and room and board in exchange for you to work there. So you might not get paid, but you get a lot of your expenses paid. Another, I think, really good job you could look at is working for the county as road maintenance. If you operate heavy equipment, rotograder, did I say that right? Rotoblader, the blade, rotograder? Yeah, I think motograder. If you run a dozer, if you run a backhoe, you could work for the county just maintaining roads. Another big thing that could pay a lot of money is working for mines. Here in Arizona, there's a lot of active mines. There's a lot of active copper mines, and those pay a lot of money, and they're always in rural locations. Another idea is being a propane truck driver. There's usually some sort of propane service in every rural location, so that's something you could look into. And finally, you might be able to find a wealthy old person and become their caregiver. That is what my mom does. She is a caregiver for a woman who lives on a 40-acre ranch that is partially off-grid. And it's a beautiful environment, and she gets to basically give someone company all day in exchange for room and board and a pretty decent income. So for me, I mean, I'm over like the whole working for an employer thing. I think it's one of the most miserable things to do on this planet. I know there's a lot of perks with it, but it's just not for me. So the second thing you can do is start a service-based business. There is always a business that you can start that someone needs. And some of these things are so in demand, you will find your phone ringing off the hook with very little startup costs and very little upfront work. This is what happened with the RV repair business that my ex and I started. I basically started putting out Facebook Marketplace ads, and before I knew it, the phone was ringing. We started getting good reviews, put us on Google Maps, Google My Business, and man, it blew up very fast, and we made a lot of money, or at least he made a lot of money. But I digress. So some of the service-based businesses that you can think of doing are handyman and building. So if you are handy, fixing running leaky toilets, fixing creaky stairs, banisters. There's so many things you can do as a handyman, installing windows, fixing doors. People need that stuff all the time. Patching roofs. You'll always be busy, especially in the country. Building things. Can you build sheds? Can you build tiny houses? Can you build animal pens? This is stuff that's always in demand. With your neighbors, you just start with your neighbors. Hand out business cards, put up those little signs you see, and you will get phone calls. This is a really cool business idea that my buddy Cyrus gave me, and that is starting a trash hauling service. So a lot of these folks living in the country, they're outside of the range of trash hauling, and they don't want to take the stuff to the dump themselves. So you could easily start for, $30 a month per person. You are hauling trash all over the county. I mean, that you would need not very many customers to make a decent living. You could also do a water hauling service, which would require a trailer and a tank, but that's a great service for people who can't afford a well, that are living off grid, that are living way out in the country, and all you do is supply water to them. That's a great idea too. Another one I really like is land clearing services. If you own a tractor, that's all you have to have is a tractor and a trailer to haul your tractor. You go out to the properties and you clear land. And I'll tell you, out here in Arizona with the mesquites, people need land clearing services all the time. You'd be busy all the time. Another idea is animal-based services. This could be pet services, this could be animal boarding services, this could be veterinary services if that's what you do, furrier, putting on the horseshoes for the horses, lots of pet-related business opportunities in the rural lifestyle. Cleaning business. Anywhere you go, people are going to need cleaning. You get customers, you set up a once-a-week schedule, and before you know it, your schedule is full. I started a cleaning business in Montana, and it did really well with very little effort because people do not like cleaning. They'd much rather pay someone else to do it. Any type of repair-based business, if you're a mechanic or a plumber or an electrician, any type of skilled trade or even unskilled trade where you can just good at repairing stuff. Computer repair. I've also done a lot of computer repair work in my lifetime. That stuff pays pretty good and it's a pain in the butt, but everybody needs it anywhere, and including in country living areas. And they need it especially out there because they have a hard time getting people to come to them. So if you're a mobile repair unit, you are in business. Anything to do with welding, mechanic, and then also a really good one that you can make a lot of money, super hard work, is fence building. Oh man, I don't know if you've ever gotten a quote for a fence, but they are freaking expensive. Anywhere from, you'd probably be doing a lot of 3-strand barbed wire fences, being in the country, but you can make a small fortune. Selling sheds. People need outbuildings. This would be more of a product, kind of a mix of product or service-based business. I live in a shed. People need sheds. People need shipping containers. You can incorporate that into your shed selling business. How about a hot shot service, or just having a trailer to haul stuff with? Move things for people. You can move things all over the country. You can move things all over your county. People always need help moving stuff. So this is a huge list of service-based businesses that you can build while living off-grid. And that brings me to my next topic, income style number 3, which is building a homestead-based business. Now, this is what a lot of homesteaders talk about, because this is like the dream is to have chickens, they lay eggs, you sell the eggs for astronomical price because the price of eggs is ridiculous right now and you make a bunch of money. I don't know if that, starting a homestead-based business, it's going to take time to grow it. It's not going to hit right off the bat if you need income right away. So you might have to take on a part-time or full-time job while you're building your homestead-based business, or maybe you start a cleaning job and then work into your homestead-based business. But it will take some more effort to get the ball rolling on that. So I have a bunch of ideas with that as well. The big thing is, everybody wants to do the farmers market because farmers markets are really lucrative. People spend a bunch of money there. It promotes local health. It promotes local support of small businesses and farmers and hobby farmers. So I love the idea of a farmers market business. I'm going to give it a shot this year. So make sure to like and subscribe to my channel if you're enjoying my content, because I will be exploring a lot of these business ideas. Some of the things you could sell at a farmers market are produce, anything you grow, fruits and veggies, eggs, of course, poultry, meats. I see people selling meats, frozen pre-cut meats are very popular. You can do dairy-based products, cheeses, fresh milk. There's this whole rage about raw milk versus pasteurized. Technically, you have to pasteurize it. I don't know if I'd sell milk at the farmer's market, but I'd definitely sell cheese. Soft cheeses and hard cheeses, goat cheese, chev, that stuff is super popular with the yuppies. You could also make homemade jams and jellies, homemade salsas. Home-baked goods are always very popular. Breads and sweets. And I even saw a guy, he was selling soups. He made big pots of organic soups from his animals and from his veggies and bone broths, and he sold out of them every weekend. People went crazy over his soup. So there's so many foods that you can make and sell at the farmer's market. It's a very romantic idea. I think it takes a huge amount of work. It's a labor of love, but it would be fun. Building furniture. You can build yourself a nice homestead workshop, and if you have lumber on your property, if you have trees that you can cut and use for your own furniture, that'd be awesome. If not, then you just buy the wood and make furniture, and people love that stuff. People go crazy over Amish furniture and just all this homemade stuff. So you could be kind of in this niche of building local furniture. You could sell live plants. This could be house plants. People go apeshit over house plants. This could be tomato plants, pepper plants, starter plants for people's gardens. It could be flowers, live flowers. You could do cut flowers at a farmer's market. Raising and selling livestock. I think for me, it's way too much. I don't have any desire to have a head of cattle. If I did anything like this, it'd be on a very small scale, like rabbits, or maybe goats would be the largest I would do, but that's a lot of work, and you really have to watch your revenue over your costs, because your net income you could be living razor thin on net income, raising and selling livestock. But you know what? People do it. People do it really well. So I'm not an expert on that, but that's a lot of people's dreams, is to have like a working ranch. Now, this is an interesting one you may have never thought of. You can grow and sell insects and worms. Think about it. All the people that go fishing, they use earthworms, there's all kinds of worms, mealworms, red worms, night worms, night crawlers, whatever. You can grow these things and put them in a container and sell them for pretty expensive, or to the local bait shops. You can also sell feeder insects like crickets, and you could sell predatory insects like ladybugs, because people release them in their garden and they eat the little aphids off the plants. So this is a thing, people. You can make a living growing and selling insects, at least like a supplemental income. This is another idea that I feel is very front-loaded, and I don't know what the return or how long the return on investment would be. You'd also have to be in a pretty ideal location, but you can do cabin rentals, you can do camping spots, you can do RV spots. I did for a while open my property up to camping spots, like dispersed camping, and I made $10 a night, and I had a few people come here and there, so it's definitely possible, but again, location specific, and developing a cabin for renting, developing even a camping spot. It's very expensive, so front-loaded cost there, but it is doable. Some people make a lot of money off of it. Another idea is having a homestead workshop where you teach lessons about off-grid living and homesteading, where people go out to your property and learn. I believe this would require building an audience, a lot of marketing. It would not happen right off the bat. This is something I envision myself doing down the road when I've really become a master at off-grid living. Right now, I'm more than a novice. I'm probably like a journeywoman, but I'm definitely not a master. I've learned a lot, but I've got a lot to learn. So. I'm always open to your input and your thoughts and ideas about living off the grid. And the final thing that could be a little bit controversial, but not even so much these days, is growing pot or growing mushrooms. So recreational marijuana is a thing now. A lot of people do it. A lot of people grow it. I think the market is really saturated. Everyone says, oh, you can get rich growing pot. I really don't think so. I think those days are behind us, but there's still money to be made. And right now there's this huge push to legalize psychedelics, at least in a medical way, because they're finding a lot of health benefits to microdosing mushrooms for PTSD. It's helping a lot of veterans, it's helping a lot of trauma victims to help them, and this is something that a lot of tribal people have known for a really long time, that psilocybins help to heal your brain and change your mindset. So you can grow mushrooms, make quite a bit of money. However, that is more on the illegal side, so do it at your own risk. Whew, okay, so that was a lot of homestead-based business ideas. But like I told you, I have a lot of good ideas that you've probably not thought of, so I hope that you are enjoying this content. I do have one more income style for you, and that is the elusive online income. It is totally doable. It makes a lot of sense for homesteaders. The main clincher is, do you have decent enough internet access? The first thing you can do to build an online income is to work for an employer over the internet and have a remote job. This is what a lot of people do. This is what happened to Montana, and I caught the very good tail end of Montana before it got invaded by outsiders, namely Californians, even though I'm a Californian originally, but I mean, okay, I'm a little bit different, okay? I don't count. So what happened to Montana is pre-remote working era, people would not move to Montana because the wages were low and there wasn't very many jobs. So if you lived in Montana, you're gonna live that rural lifestyle and take a low wage, and that was just what you did. But once remote work came around, all of these people from California flooded into Montana. They flooded into Bozeman and flooded into Missoula. So all of these corporate, rich, or very high-end workers went remote and moved to Montana and blew it all up and caused the cost of living to go way up. And now you can't even afford to get an acre of land there, which is really sad because I love living in Montana. I lived there for 7 years. I lived there for 7 winters. Case in point is you can go somewhere remote. As long as you have internet access, you can work for a halfway decent employer and make your living that way. It's not how I want to make my living. But there are other ways. You can start a service-based business online as a virtual assistant. You can literally assist someone who has a very busy life and book their airplane trips and schedule their appointments and do all of this remotely. It's a thing. You can become a designer, a graphic designer, a business card designer. You can edit YouTube videos. You can become a film editor. You can create commercials for people. You can do voiceovers. You can build websites. There's so many digital things that you can do that I think AI is going to threaten quite a bit of it, but we still have a window of opportunity to enter into this market space and make a name for ourselves. one of these platforms you can use. It is called Fiverr, and a lot of online entrepreneurs offer their services there. Check it out. This is a good way for you to start building an online income as a service-based business. But for me, I don't want to be in a service-based business. I want to be a content creator. I'm going to get to that in one more second, because I want to mention that you can do e-commerce, you can sell things online. So this works well as a homesteader because you can make products based on your homestead. If it can ship really easily, such as making teas or coffees. There's so many things that you can sell that you can do on your homestead and ship it and have an e-commerce online based business. That is pretty front loaded. There's a lot of competition out there, so do your research. Also marketing, social media management. Oh my God, there's so many things to do. It's endless. You can make money online. It is a thing. It is doable. But the way I make my money online is being a content creator. And a lot of people have this idea that they can go on their homestead and make a bunch of content and live happy and free as a content creator. Well, I am going to have to burst your bubble just a little bit, because content creation, it is very, very front loaded. So you are going to go through a sandboxing period where Google is not going to send you much traffic. They don't know who you are. Google is all about trust and establishing trust. So you build a website, you make a YouTube channel, you're brand new, but Google doesn't trust you. They don't trust you to give correct information. They don't trust you that you're not trying to rip off people. You could be a bot. You could be a phisher, a spammer, a scammer. So it takes about 6 months to build trust with Google. It is called the sandboxing period. I went through it with Maximum Off Grid. I noticed a big difference for my traffic from the first 6 months to after that point. But building an online audience, building traffic, and monetizing that, it is a very special niche, and it is not easy, and it takes effort and dedication over years before you see the real audience coming to you. So I'm just forewarning you that although you'll want to start your content creation journey immediately, do not expect to rely on it as a source of income for, I'd say, at least 6 months to a year, and more likely 2 to 3 years. I've been going at content creation now part-time for 5 years, and I am making a part-time income. So I know it's doable because I am earning money through affiliate marketing, through digital products, product recommendations, partnerships, things like that. But it has taken me a long time, and as you can see at the time of making this video, I still have pretty small subscriber count. And this reason is because I spent the majority of my time building my website, which has the majority of my traffic, which is about 8,000 to 10,000 viewers a month hits my website. So slowly but surely, I am gaining the momentum. And my hope is that when I go back to my property and focus on content creation full-time, that I can rapidly gain momentum because I have established trust and authority with Google, and also my viewers like me. Okay guys, so that was a lot of information. I want to wrap up this podcast with one of my favorite quotes, which is, homesteading is not just about growing your own food, it's about growing your own income. And it is so true. You will need an income. However, I do highly recommend, before you go off grid, to minimize your debts, if not eliminate them entirely. This will liberate you in so many different ways. Needing less income means having to hustle less, work less, and focus on what you love to do, which is to be a free, liberated, self-sufficient homesteader. All right, well, I hope that you have enjoyed this podcast. Don't forget to check out my ebook. Click on the link below to give my sales page a read, see if that's something you'd like. The price right now for you is under $10. So for the cost of a fast food meal, you can download an ebook that can totally change your life. I am also starting up a viewer support platform. I am building it on buymeacupofcoffee.com, where you can make a one-time donation to me. If you're loving my content, you could sign up for the membership level. I'm still kind of building all that infrastructure out, but I want to give you a way to support me, which keeps me incentivized to keep making all of this rich, awesome content for you. And if you're loving this channel, please give me a like and a subscribe and share my content wherever you'd like to. This is Regina signing out.